Hey Aquarius, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading, general reading. Take what works, leave what doesn't. Splitting the deck here. From the bottom of the deck, overall for the reading, Ace of Wands, inspiring new beginning. You might be looking for one, you might be wanting one, but it's an inspiring new beginning. But yet, the interesting thing about this is that the way our culture reads directions is she is looking to the past. She's opening a new book. Yeah, there's like a new book, basically. And it might have some surprising things in it. But you're opening up something new. There are some surprising things in it. And part of it may remind you of something from the past or may have you looking to the past. But it is new. That's the thing that is really surprising to me as I'm looking at this card. It is a new thing. It's Ace of Wands. It's a new inspired thing, but there's something about it that comes from the past, I feel, looking at this. Okay, so and then over on Vimeo, I'm going to be doing a I-Ching reading. We're going to throw some coins, get a probability reading from I-Ching. I use a very direct translation. And I'm having a really good time with those readings. And we're pulling in some Oracle deck cards, and it's an extended from this one. So if you're interested in that, it's over there. The link is hopefully in the description box if I remember that. Okay, past, present, inner landscape. Whoa, oh yeah. To do what's at issue, environment, to-do list, possible outcome. This is interesting. Is this Scorpio's reading? Okay, so got Pentacles, Swords, Cups, and Wands. So we've got everything. We've got everything. In your recent past, you have Eight of Pentacles, work that you found enjoyable, that you could really throw yourself into, that you really thought was, that really felt like it resonated with you. It was work that resonated with you. Now, whether that was some sort of project or temporary work or paid work or unpaid work or volunteer work or whatever, this was a way in which you brought yourself out into the world and were able to express yourself effectively in the world. So you were able to work on something, working on something that really expressed who you are currently, right? Because our butterflies are symbols of transformation. So there could have been something about this work that changed you as you did it, but it also was like, I want to say mature work, or like, that's not the right word, but it wasn't newbie work. It wasn't pupa stage work. It wasn't caterpillar work. It was butterfly work. So you did a good job, and it was satisfying. So in your current situation, Temperance, you're waiting something out. There's an adjustment period. You're neither here nor there. You're halfway between worlds. It's a protected space, right? Because we have these adjustment periods. So I'm thinking of a snake that sheds its skin and it has this period before, or a crab or whatever, anything that sheds its skin and goes through a change and a transformation. Oh, well, let's just take our little butterfly here. You got to have a cocoon for that. You got to have a little safe space. So the Temperance is sort of like holding some sort of space so that changes can happen and that time can do its thing and that you can go through a couple different stages and phases of your life while this change is happening, or this changes while you're protected. So it is a protected space. You're neither here, you're neither there, but you are somewhere between the two places. So it is sort of the cosmic drink mixer, and so things are getting mixed together. Elements are being brought together, and so your job here is really, in this Temperance vibe, is really waiting something out, having some patience while the universe kind of recreates your world for you, or there's some assistance here. It's like you put your order in and you're just having to wait for your drink for a while. So and then we have this Three of Swords. What's on your heart, your mind? Heartbreak. It looks like, I mean, we're just going to say, I don't think you want this, but you could be thinking about having to break a heart. But this is a heartbreaking situation. Your heart is broken. Maybe you had some realizations. Maybe people said some things. Maybe, yeah, it kind of felt like it maybe came out of the blue. You didn't really understand. You might be remembering a time when you had your heart broken. It really pierced straight to the core of the situation, though. I mean, we can be grateful for some of these like pieces of information and whatever that actually like hit their mark, but it's really painful anyway. So that's on your mind, in your heart, your hopes, your fears. You might be afraid of getting a broken heart. Oh, this reminds me of I don't want to wait in vain for your love, that Bob Marley song, even though like just waiting in vain for something, and like what if you never get it? What if it never happens? And how heartbreaking that would be if you're sitting here in this temperance energy, this patient waiting energy, and then nothing shows up at all. And so you could be afraid of some heartbreaking realizations, afraid that someone might say something or something might happen that is very, that wounds you, especially in this sort of delicate space where you're at, where you're neither here nor there, and you're in this like this space of change. And it's very delicate. It's very, I want to think about like making like a souffle. And if you're adding like, heavy sugar in too early in the mixing process, you're never going to get the big fluff. It's not a souffle. Is it a souffle? I can't remember. But like, it's just like, if something happens in this process where you're like trying to create maybe fluff or some kind of process that just takes some amount of time, if something happens to disrupt that, or like you got a cake in the oven and someone slams the oven door, and then your cake, that wind pushes and makes your cake fall, right? So you could be worried about something like that. It's definitely a concern that you have that's weighing heavily on your mind, is some kind of heartbreak, either to come, the possibility of heartbreak, or a heartbreak you've already experienced. Because I already do see, actually, there's a lot looking to the past here. But you could be, it's on your mind. What's at issue here is Three of Pentacles. People not working together. This could be you not working, especially since we have the Pentacles right here. We do have three Pentacle cards here, so this could, again, much like Sagittarius, no, much like Capricorn. No, yeah, it was Sagittarius that had the little grief process here. So it could be like similar to Capricorn, a work-based really reading, or money, or also health-based, could also be health-based. So we have people not working together, especially with this card, this Eight of Pentacles in the back, in the past here. You're no longer working with these people. You're no longer working maybe even as a team. If you are part of a team, there's like an adjustment period, and in the middle of the adjustment period, you're not cooperating. There's no cooperation here. And then I think also, like in this adjustment period where there's no cooperation, like a team takes a while to build teamwork, to build understandings, to get to know each other. So you might be worried about something coming in and sort of disrupting the building of team cohesion before you even get to the team cohesion. I think there's also something about like not having hired an expert, or there's not an expert here. Like this is also my consultation card. So you maybe, you don't have like a therapist, you don't have a contractor, you don't have a doctor, you don't have someone that you're working with that can really like help the situation and bring in their expertise. You're not working with an expert, or you just don't have a team that you're working with anymore. You're just not working with people. Team's not working. There's no teamwork. You could just not be working too. In your environment, we have Five of Cups. We have grief. So this could be someone in your environment is in a grief process, or someone in your environment or your environment is causing grief. So I think someone in your environment could be going through a grief process or something very difficult. There is also like this, it's not like a despair, all is lost situation. It's just like this is lost. Quite a bit is lost. Quite a bit is flowing along. There is something to look forward to eventually. That will not be your job to tell someone how their current grief situation, well, but look on the bright side, right? That's something that we can like learn and speak for ourselves. Like, I do have a lot to look forward to. I am looking on the bright side. You know, there's no great loss without some gain, that kind of thing. That's something we can tell ourselves, but it's not really something that we go around telling other people, because it can sound and feel very dismissive of someone's grief. So be careful not to be dismissive of someone's grief. And perhaps you are thinking about like the grief process and your own grief process. And right, because we have 3 of Swords in your inner hopes and fears. Obviously this is a fear. And then your external also has grief and loss. So just both internally dealing with it and also someone externally, the situation dealing with it. So we have two cards, the 2 cards of grief and loss and sadness and heartbreak. So sounds like life, like a trip I've been on before, and a trip everyone has been on before, but it's never fun to be in that situation. So someone may have been dealing with some grief. There may be grief in your environment somewhere. Someone's just going through that process. It might have gotten a little stuck. This is where we get like PTSD from this process. But that's you know, a very difficult thing to deal with, and it's not easily, you know, you can't just flip a switch and be done with it. So there is there is hope, but there's also a lot of loss. Like this branches is it's had to contract, I want to say. There's a contraction going on here. There are choices that have to be made of what to let go of, what can be lost, right? Because if a plant is stressed, they can't, you know, the energy can't go to all of the branches all of the time. The plant sort of has to, in its way, pick and choose where it's going to put the energy, where it's going to put the nutrients, where it's going to put all that stuff. So we have some where it just doesn't have the energy to put into these things. It does have energy to put into these things. So the way I'm seeing this card today is just really fascinating. Like someone in your environment may just have to make some decisions about where they're going to put their energy, because they don't have endless amounts of energy. So some things are going to get, right, the energy has to be shunted away from some things and towards other things. Especially in a grief process that can really take a lot of your energy and a lot of your time. They're not going to have time for everything. And they have to pick and choose what is the best use of their time and energy. They've experienced a loss, so they're not having the full amount of energy and the full amount of attention and the full amount of all of that coming through. So they may be having to be very selective. So your to-do list, 2 of Swords. This is denial. But as a to-do list item, like denial, much like PTSD, is something that we don't always have a lot of control over and a lot of say over. It's some part of ourselves sees something, knows something, but doesn't directly address it because we're not ready to. So this could be like biding your time, waiting something out, waiting until the situation is better, waiting until this situation clears, waiting until this situation clears, and then until this person has time and energy to again focus on growth, on what's going on in their life, on other things. This could be just being silent, not addressing an issue, letting something go for a while. Just like, okay, you don't have time for me or for this. Okay, and just let it go. Because they just don't. Like, there's not a lot you can say and do and jump up and down and be excited about and make them have time and energy to deal with something else, to deal with the things, other things. So, so this 2 of Swords is just like I think letting something go, not addressing, being very non-confrontational. Like normally we would have they're not talking, but they are sitting together. They're sitting together silently. They're not talking. There is something back here. There's sort of an elephant in the room, but it's not being directly addressed. And sometimes, especially when people go through a difficult process, they don't necessarily want to talk about it the whole time. So in some ways, I see you just sort of sitting silently with someone, and not necessarily making them talk about things or bringing up issues that you need addressed right now, because someone else is really going through it. So issues that you need to be addressed, or your frustration with something or whatever, just let it all sit and go, and just pretend you're not seeing a good chunk of what you have seen and what you know. And now is not the time to divulge information. It's not the time for that. So I'm trying. So just you don't need to address this right now. You don't need to address your heartache right now or your fears right now. And it's just it's just temporary, right? This is temperance. It's just temporary. You have to have some patience. So this is you having some patience about things that maybe bother you, or things that you've seen, or things that you know, but you're not necessarily you're not communicating about them. It's swords. Swords are communication, but the two oftentimes takes us out of the whole intent of the suit. So Two of Swords is about knowing something, but not talking about it. Basically, that's what I see with your Two of Swords here is. You're not turning your back. You're turning your back maybe on something that you know, but you're not turning your back on this person. And you're being quiet. You're not communicating stuff you know. All right. So that can be useful, right? I think Two of Swords can, be denial, be not talking, be not communicating. I don't know that this is cutting. I'm not seeing cutting anyone off here. I'm just seeing not addressing, yeah, we already covered that. Two of Pentacles. So again, another two here. So juggling things, negotiating things, having a lot to do, a lot of practical aspects going on here. There's a lot of practical issues. You have this sort of hold your fire, hold your tongue, and then where you're headed, there's some practical issues, a lot on your plate. Juggling things, negotiating things. You might end. This is funny because we have work, temperance. Just wait. There's going to be a lot to do coming on, and maybe too much to do. Maybe 2 jobs come in, or 2 projects come in, or 2. Just you don't need to ask for anything either. If this is I need some work, or I need some whatever. You don't have to ask. Don't ask. Because it's coming, and it's going to be a lot when it comes. So if you're asking for more, it's going to be too much. So way too much. So you already have a lot that's coming. That's going to be on your plate coming in the future. So you don't need to be the hungry baby bird chirping the loudest right now, because you're already getting 2 worms. The 2 worms are on their way, so you can just chill. Let someone else get the worm, or whatever. Let someone else say or speak or whatever, because you're going to be having a lot on your plate anyway. So that don't be asking for more before, it's like when I was pregnant and I went to a restaurant, and it was in India, so everything was really cheap, right? So it was not a big deal for me to order everything on the menu. It was 10 items. It was a little cafe. I ordered one of everything on the menu, and then when I got there, I took 3 bites of one thing, and I just didn't feel like eating anymore. And it was so that's a little bit it was very, very embarrassing. Very embarrassing. In India, with all of these, with the economic situation as it is, it's very embarrassing to have 10 plates of food and only eat. But so this is don't over order, don't keep ordering, don't keep asking for things, don't over order, because you're about to have if you order 2 things off the menu, you're going to be fine. Just shh. That's this reading in total is shh. It's coming. You don't want to be sitting at a restaurant in India with 10 plates of food you can't eat. Because when you're pregnant, you can either eat or you can't eat, right? You can't be having like, you can't force yourself to eat. All right, Mystic Meadow Sanctuary. I feel like this is a little bit being a safe place, but, oh, sanctuary too, right? You are in a safe place. You are providing a safe place possibly. So Mystic Meadow Sanctuary. I feel like this is where you are at right now. We have a bear, we have a bunny, and we have a fox. That felt important. Willow spirit, flexibility. Be willing to flow. You may be hurting, someone else may be hurting. Be a little flexible with all of that, with the attention. And of course we have willow spirit, and the willow, I always learn them as weeping willows. They always seem so, like such an emotionally evocative tree. But they also provide, the willow leaf provides the aspirin. So it has that same aspirin chemical. So it can be, you can like stuff it in your mouth for, you know, pain relief, if you have a toothache or something like that. So I feel like part of this flexibility is that there is a lot of emotion, and then there's also a sense of pain relief. And you being flexible is somehow going to provide some sort of pain relief for someone, or just being flexible, like, you know, know when to shut your mouth, know when to open it, kind of thing. And like, you know, this going on here, we have the parts of this branch that can't have energy. So being flexible. This Ace of Wands, what do you think about this? What do you think this, a new beginning, but it has to do with, it's a new project or something. So it could have to do with this Pentacles here. New insight, new passion, new creativity, new belief system. All right, so Mystic Meadow and flexibility. All right, well, if you want to join me over on Vimeo for the coin toss, the I Ching part, that would be fun. If not, ciao.